Eli Drinkowitz, SEC Media Days. I don't know if you were aware of this. You're the first head coach to come on this show, and you'll probably be the last after this interview.
Really? That surprises me. I mean, y'all are like the voice of the SEC now, at least on my news feed.
Welcome in. Latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. Go by SEC Mike on the Twitters. And there he is, everybody's favorite Cuzzy Shane. What's up, brother?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Oh, I'll tell you what's going on, man. This portal madness. Everybody and their mothers getting in this damn portal.
Yep. It is absolutely wild. I'm telling you, brother. You know, and I'm looking at some of these teams and they're like, hey, well, we're not getting hit. Well, that's because you're still in the playoffs. You know, it's like, I don't think this is the last time we're going to hear portal talk, but yeah, it is absolutely crazy right now.
Yes, indeed, my friend. Before we get going, though. Oh, wait. Hey, how about this? Shout out Liquid. I don't think he's in here quite yet, but Liquid set up a Discord for us. So if you're an official cousin, it's like Cousin JR. What a legend. We'll get to him in a minute. But Liquid set up all this Discord. I think I sent it over to Shane. I don't even think he signed up for it. But if you're an official cousin, we've dropped a link on YouTube for all the official cousins to come hang out on the Discord. So I'm going to try to figure that out. I have no idea what I'm doing. Thankfully, Liquid did all the work. Pretty much, we just got to click the link and sign up. If you're an official cousin, come hang out. So that'll be great. And we'll get JR's already in there, Shane. So there's you reason enough to get in there. JR, thank you, the legend. He's just gifted Chris Yates a membership. Chris, welcome to
the family.
And hopefully we'll see you on the Discord. So, buddy.
Yeah, I got to figure out this Discord thing. I feel like you ever feel like you're like the one generation that kind of got left behind on certain things, you know? It's like I was doing good. I got set up on the Facebook. I got set up on the Twitters, you know, and then Instagram came out. I was like, I don't know. Snap, my daughter, she snaps all the time. I don't understand it. Don't get on it, you know? So, but this Discord is another one. It's like, I don't really know what I'm doing. So, yeah, I'll get over there. I'm sure I'll mess something up. But, yeah, we'll definitely check it out, brother. What is it? Is it like a social media thing or?
It's like a little chat room.
A message board type deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And you can tell he's put in a lot of work. He's got it by mailbag. He's got breaking news. He's got it team by team. I mean, Liquid really put in the work. I was very impressed with it.
Are you also impressed with the TikTok site, Mike? Got that thing rolling? You didn't think Cousin Shane would get that one rolling, did you?
I stay off the Chinese spyware,
I know.
I hope you get it to 1 million, but I'll never see it.
It probably, as soon as I get it there, they'll take it off the platform.
But you know where they're not gonna?
What's that?
I meant to go right off the top here, Shane. MyBookie, come on, MyBookie, official sponsor of the show. Check out mybookie.ag. That's the website. When you're done with the Discord, head over to mybookie.ag. If you haven't already, sign up for a free account. And then if you decide to put money in there, you're not required. You don't have to do it. But if you do, use that promo code, that SEC, THAT SEC over at MyBookie to double your initial deposit. Maybe we'll get on there in Discord and give us some early looks into our locks. You know what?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it right after we get done here. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to download the app and figure it out.
All right, buddy. Well, I titled this one Portal Madness.
Yeah. Oh, buddy.
Because it's getting crazy. It's getting insane.
Let me ask you, Mike, because people are melting down online. There's people melting down. There's people rejoicing.
Mm-hmm.
Should we? Should we be? Or should we be panicking right now? Or that college football's coming undone a little bit here, or should we just stay the course? Or what are your thoughts right now? Just because it seems like this year it's going to be wild. It feels like it's going to be the wild, wild west out there.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've seen wilder.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my thing. And I want to give credit because I heard them talking about it. But we've talked about him before. Neil McCready, we've had him on the show, and Tyler Siskey's having him on the show. They do an outstanding job. But they are leading the charge, Shane. Not that they are, if they're decision makers, it'd already be done. But they are leading the charge that there should only be one portal window.
Mm-hmm.
And they've convinced me. I mean, why in the hell do we have this portal window now when we got teams chasing the national championship, teams in a bowl, and we don't even know who's going to be able to play in the game? I don't know how to preview these bowl games, Shane. Like Ole Miss playing Duke. Duke's quarterback just jumped in the portal.
Yeah.
It's like, well, wait. So I've started studying it. Now that guy, like, I don't even know anything about the backup. How can you do this? And again, that's not the reason that you delay it, not for the bowl games or anything like that, but it just doesn't make any sense with coaching transition, with high school recruiting. I guess that is actually still going because they still have the February period. Yeah. There's just so much going on. It doesn't make any sense. And I get it. You could say, well, we want these portal transfers to have a spring football, but I don't think that makes or breaks this. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're a good enough transfer portal guy, you could come in the summer, the spring, whatever, and you'll be fine and you'll make an impact. And I also think it would add value, Shane, to high school football recruiting and evaluating to make sure that you get those guys in for spring. Yeah. I think that's much more important than getting transfer portal players in the spring. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think one portal, hell, I'd like to go back to just one recruiting day too. I understand why they did it initially, but now it's like, with the portal opening up, I think, I don't know, some of these rules I feel like they've changed along the way, but then some they hold firm to. And if you did have, let's say, a portal open up February 1st, mm-hmm. and, you got spring ball right around the corner, you should be able to do it right then. If you quit one, or if you're traded from one NFL team to another, you turn your playbook in, you go hit a plane, the next day you're checking in at a new facility.
It's more complicated than that because there's school. We can't just go in February to school, but we can. There's multiple points to start school in the summer, so it's got to be after spring.
I know. I get it. I know, but still.
And I think it would also, again, alleviate a lot of this, like Nick Saban leaves and then oh my God, the portal opens. And then what happens? They hire Washington coach. Oh my God, Washington's open. So what's Washington do? They hire Arizona coach. Oh my God, Arizona's open. And it's a stupid domino.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that players shouldn't have freedom, but it probably would have been good for Alabama. And quite frankly, Shane, it probably would have been good for the players. I'm just using them as an example because they were the most high profile. If Kalen DeBoer got in there, got hired in December, mm-hmm. and then they said, you have to stay here through March or whenever spring. Get to know the coach. Let the coach get to know the player. Maybe they come to a mutual agreement. Hey, this is not going to work. Yeah. Or the player says, hey, this is not going to work. Whatever the thing is, why do these decisions have to be made in 24, 48 hours? Who is that helping? I don't think it helps anybody.
No, I mean, it's a knee-jerk reaction, and not to mention the dirtiness behind the scenes, the people who's in these kids' ears and letting them know how much money they could get and so on and so forth. So, yeah, it's a flawed system, clearly, but, it just feels like we're in this bubble, this transition bubble, and it's almost like it's got to get so crazy that we fix it, and right. I feel like that's kind of what we're at. We're just 100 miles an hour right now.
Chris Lewis, shout out cousin Chris. He says, wish Stoops would hit the transfer portal.
Well, I think crazy. I saw Hunter's cell phone getting leaked. Did you see that? And everybody's, texting them, telling them to let Sam go and whatnot. So,
oh wow,
so there is some damn. There's some upset fan bases out there. Kentucky, one of them, definitely Arkansas. I every time I flip on the switch, they're going crazy over there. So yeah, it's a wild time for sure. And then you got the bowl games and you got the playoffs and everything else going on.
Right. So why are we doing this all at the same damn time? It's nonsensical. But you mentioned them, also Mississippi State. So those are the three teams I wanted to start with, Shane, because Mississippi State's got 23 guys in the portal. Arkansas's got 21, and Kentucky's got 21. And I've asked Steven this. I went on with T-Bob this morning. I asked him, I'll ask you. I just want to see where your knowledge is at. Hopefully you didn't catch any of this or any of those interviews. What if you had to describe the current Mississippi State, Arkansas, Kentucky programs, what do you think those have in common?
What do they have in common besides all of them? I don't know. Upset fan bases right now.
Bingo. Like, who's excited if you're an Arkansas fan about the future? If you're a Kentucky fan and even Mississippi State, which, there was glimmers of hope. I'm not saying Jeff Lebby's got no future, but how can you go 2-10 and then tell all the fans, you know what? You know what's going to help us? Give us $5,000 a piece. You know what I mean? Like, You can't sell that. You know where you can sell that right now, Shane? You can sell that in Gainesville. Yeah. You can sell that in Columbia, South Carolina. You can sell that in Austin, Texas. You can sell that in Knoxville, Tennessee. You got to win to get people to open their wallets. And hell, I don't even think they should be asking the fans for this money. You know what I mean? So that's another story. But so that's a big reason why. And I see these fans, Shane, they're saying, well, college football's ruined. Mississippi State's got 23 in the portal. Again, Arkansas 21, Kentucky 21. But it's because they don't have the money to retain these players. Mm-hmm. That's the reason these three programs are leading the way with guys in the transfer portal. But it's not all doom and gloom, Shane. Blake Shapen, I don't know if you saw this, quarterback, Mississippi State, he has announced he's returned. So I guess that means he got his waiver. He can get a red shirt. He'll be back next season. Yeah. They're deep in the Jackson Arnold sweepstakes. What will that mean for Michael Van Buren? I don't know, but all of a sudden, Mississippi State may have the best quarterback room in the SEC. So it's not all bad. You know what?
No, it's not. And that's as I say, the portal giveth and taketh away. And I also feel like sometimes, I don't know, it feels like sometimes these staffs can identify talent that may not have been at the top of the non-3 or 24/7 portal. I mean, you could jump on there and look at the rankings, but how many times do you see a transfer guy come in and instantly make an impact on a football team? Somebody you weren't expecting. He didn't have the big profile name. He wasn't a 5-star out of high school,
Right. And shout out Cousin Brandon. He just gave us $50, Shane.
Hey, come on.
He says Arkansas equals Ole Miss farm team. And I had this queued up. So since Brandon went there, did you see this, Shane?
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin. I apologize. I don't know who this Zachary Hall is, but I think he's someone in the media. We are quickly becoming Ole Miss farm team. What a disaster! And Lane Kiffin retweeted it. There's a bunch of guys from Arkansas that are visiting Ole Miss and may land there, Shane, including what that tweet was referencing, of course, standout cornerback Jalen Braxton, who unfortunately didn't play this year. Luke Hawes, the tight end, offensive lineman Patrick Kudus, who's got a bright future. And I mean, they've been hit pretty hard. So, again, I'm not trying to pile on the Razorbacks here, but this is the reality. This is where we're at right now, and that I think of all the teams, I think Arkansas should be the most concerned with some of these players that not only they're losing, but potentially losing them to SEC rivals. Yeah. Of those teams I referenced. And again, Mississippi State, you're losing some talent too, Shane. Mario Craver, outstanding receiver. Their left tackle pounders, running back Jeffrey Pittman. Those are kind of the big names. Kentucky, Barry and Brown, Dane Key, dynamic receivers. Jordan Dingle, tight end. Chip Trainium, running back. But I have to think right now the biggest loser in the transfer portal is Arkansas out of the SEC.
I think it's like a 1A, 1B. I think Kentucky's right there with them. Because there are some like you mentioned some names, just Key and Brown alone. I think those two are going to be playing on another. They could be potentially playing on another SEC team, and those are two weapons that you kept waiting to really hit. And I feel like Key really had a great season, given the circumstances. But you pair him with a good offensive line and a good quarterback and maybe better play calling. This is another guy that's probably going to get drafted. So, I feel like, I don't know, the sparks. That was for me. Arkansas, I love Hawes. I hate that they're having all these hits, and it's going to be tough to rebuild, but you almost felt like this was going to be a one more year anyway. Kentucky, I still don't know how long you're stuck with Stoops. So I would be even a little bit more worried in that situation because because that's where they were. They were always at developmental school, but they were starting to be one of those that got into the portal and brought pieces in that immediately made an impact. So now that we're starting to see the portal go out, that's a little discouraging for me.
Yeah, and again, I'm not trying to pile on these teams, Shane. That's another. I mean, you could have said this too. Kentucky went 4-8, Arkansas 6-6, Mississippi State 10-2. So they all have in common they're not winning big. Players want to win, but if let's say the Kentucky job opened today,
yeah,
which I don't think there's any shot it's happening because of that buyout, and we've kind of discussed that at length. But let's say Mark Stoops says, you know what, they're right. Or let's say he just said, I'm going to Iowa,
Yeah.
if that job opened today too. They could probably get John Summerall. He's a Kentucky guy. They were going to hire him when he left for about 12 hours for A&M. And he's a good enough coach. He's a Kentucky alum. He's been assistant there. I think he'd do great. But here's the problem. Like you're saying, I don't know how long Stoops is going to be. Let's say Stoops is there 2 more years. And they're just as bad, if not worse. Which hopefully they're not. I'm not predicting it, but let's say they're 4, 5, 6 wins the next 2 years, and then Stoops is still there.
Mm-hmm.
You've probably missed your shot at John Summerall. He's probably getting a bigger job, like at Auburn, like at LSU, like somewhere that is going to be perceived as a better job than Kentucky. So I think that's a danger too.
I mean, I hate to say this, but when Summerall said he's coming back to Tulane, I think the happiest fan base was Big Blue Nation because they said, hey, at least he's not going somewhere else.
Right.
So I again, similar to Arkansas, I feel like this is a make break season and they're going to find the money. I truly believe both of these coaches, man, on the hottest of hot seats right now, and not even guaranteed to make it, but the every day it goes by, you're feeling a little bit better about their situation.
Which program are you feeling worse about, though, Kentucky or Arkansas?
Worse about? Well, I like Sam, and I think it's more personal for me. So I the Arkansas, but I think longevity, Kentucky could suffer the most.
Yeah.
And if this thing keeps going on year after year, they'll be the new Vanderbilt of the SEC.
Yeah. Well,
and no offense to Vanderbilt. No, I mean, I'm not.
The old Vanderbilt.
Yeah, old Vanderbilt. Yes.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it, Shane, because, again, I've got more confidence in today, what we know, about Arkansas's coordinators than I do Kentucky's coordinators. And I know, Talon Green, or Talon, as some call him, he was not like some all-star, but he had moments where he looked it.
Yeah.
I got no confidence in Kentucky quarterback either. We saw Boley play against Texas. He looked good. So that's not fair. But basically, I'm saying, as of today, much, much, much more confidence in Arkansas at quarterback and at both coordinators. So, again, it's doom and gloom right now, Shane.
Yeah.
But we got to see who we're getting out of the portal.
Yes.
And they're probably not going to be big names. I'm not going to lie to Arkansas fans that they're going to sit here and every former 5-star that you want, I don't know that you're going to get them, but that's not what Arkansas is. They land impact guys, and if they're going to need a lot of them, Shane. They're going to need 10 to 15, not all stars, but contributors.
Yeah,
and probably a couple big time impact guys. If they can get that, they could turn this thing around. But that's how you really judge it. Not today when all these guys are flocking in. We got to see who we sign. But yeah, I think right now Arkansas has been hit the hardest out of the SEC.
Yeah, I get that. But this time last year we were saying that about Arkansas, and we were saying that about South Carolina.
Yep.
There was some teams that Texas A&M that we said, oh shit, the sky's falling, but they turn around like you said, and they find. It's not like they're just going to leave the roster empty. And I remember last year saying, well, maybe they just got the cancer out of that locker room, So, hell, if you don't want to be there, don't be there. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's what they need, just a little bit of a reset. But they're going to have to be aggressive. And I feel like get some older guys in there, get some weight up front on that offense and defensive line especially. And then, you do have you do have pieces that you could still build around up there. And there was moments of hope in Arkansas that, hell, it wasn't that long ago. Tennessee Vols, the reason they're not hosting a college football playoff is because you beat them. You know, I think after that moment, you would say, hey, Arkansas's back. Arkansas's on the rise. And unfortunately, the wheels fell off, but that's just depth. Just go out here and load this roster up, Mike.
Yeah, and you nailed it on South Carolina. Another one you could say that about, Jay, that a year ago was getting hit, and we were like, oh, God, it's over. It's done. Oh, Florida, Billy Napier, best player, ETN, goes to Georgia. You know, in fairness, I think that worked out for ETN, and it certainly has worked out for Florida now. So, again, it's not all doom and gloom.
Nah.
A&M's had 13 guys hit the portal. Connor Winkman kind of most noteworthy. How about Oklahoma, though? I want to ask you about this one, Shane. 12 guys have hit the portal, including Nick Anderson, receiver. Sounds like he is eyeing potentially Texas A&M. He didn't play much at all this year. He was injured. He was banged up, but he had 10 touchdowns a season ago as a freshman. That's an all-time Oklahoma record. He's a big impact player. Jaleel Farouk, another receiver, Shane, 89 catches, 1,287 yards, 7 touchdowns. Their tight end, Bowers Sharp, and, of course, Jackson Arnold. So, level of concern, if any, that at Oklahoma, we got a new offensive coordinator, same staff, but we're blowed up that side of the ball. Maybe it needed it, but what's your thoughts on that?
Well, immediate thoughts is they weren't contributors this year anyway. So, you know, it's you know, anything that you add moving forward is going to be an improvement. Now, would you love for Nick to come back, especially? Absolutely. But, you know, there's rumors and stories behind the scenes about, you know, his situation and maybe being in Oklahoma is not the best spot for him. So, you know, I feel like when you bring in a coordinator, you know, you kind of give him the keys. Here's a little NIL money. Pick what you want, you know, help make this thing work, because what they did this year did not. And I think there's always silver lining. I guess I'm trying to be the positive guy here.
I was just going to say, you're winning me over, Shane. You're right. Every addition will be a bonus, because we didn't have those guys anyway.
Exactly. You know Sharp was great week 1, you know, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm sure he's a good kid.
I would argue, though, had these guys played, we would have had us a competent offense.
I do feel like this isn't the last time we've heard or seen from Jackson. I mean, obviously he's down in Auburn right now. I think you know I think that's the one that may haunt you a little bit, especially if he starts having success. I think of another Auburn quarterback, Bo Nix up there at Oregon, you know, another Oklahoma, you know, guy up there, you know, he's having a hell of a time. So you watch some of these quarterbacks that go and you're like, damn, we missed it. If we would have had him a year later, a year sooner, maybe we would have had something there. I saw moments where Jackson looked elite, but there were some bonehead moments too. And I think that was more development than actually than him himself, you know?
Right. Hey, well, let's go there then, Shane, because, you know, like you said, he's visiting Auburn.
Yeah.
I thought he was a done deal to Mississippi State, but again, I don't think there's anything done deal till it's officially done. But, man, we have seen, like you said, I'm a big believer in Jackson Arnold. He certainly had his issues with turnovers, which may not make him a good fit for Auburn because of their issues with turnovers.
Yeah.
But weapons galore, an offensive-minded coach that has gotten something out of quarterbacks. I'm not calling him a quarterback guru anymore, but a better situation for Jackson Arnold. How would that fit? And what would be your confidence with Auburn moving forward if let's assume they sign Jackson Arnold and he's their starting quarterback next year? What do you think is the ceiling for old Auburn?
Pretty high. I like it because it will be more focused on what he's good at. And like you said, you talked about some of the weapons that they're returning, but also financially. I feel like coming down there, you know, Auburn went a year with Peyton Thorne. And, you know, I tried to pat Peyton the entire time this season, but the fact of the matter is Auburn was very frustrated with that quarterback room. So I would imagine whoever they bring in, the wallet will be open for an NIL opportunity there. So financially, I think it'd be a good spot for him. So, yeah, I hope he sticks in the SEC. And if I'm leaning between those two jobs, you got potentially a two-headed quarterback controversy already in Mississippi State. I don't want any. Why? Why fight that? Go down to Auburn, have a better shot, better opportunity, and throw to some damn studs because they keep loading, man. And if they keep building around it, you could sell the dream, and next thing you know, Auburn is relevant again.
Right. Well, that's a good point. But I would also say, he's worked with Lebby at Oklahoma.
I get it. Yeah.
And I just based on what we've seen Lebby in recent years, he's a hell of a lot better quarterback coach today than old Hugh Freeze. So it's not a slam dunk. I really don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a tough decision. I think he'd do well either way. But I would sell it to Auburn fans just like this, just like they sold old Hugh Freeze. You know what? Let me ask you this. I love asking you riddles here.
Yeah.
Put you on the spot. What do Hugh Freeze and Jackson Arnold have in common?
No idea.
Biggest wins come against Alabama. So I'd sell the hell out of that if I'm Auburn. Like we got a coach, we got a quarterback that knows how to beat Bama. That every Auburn fan is going to sign up for that,
Hell yeah, man. I would do it. And if he's listening right now, go to Auburn. I just think it would be fun. It would be fun to watch. I'd love to see that become a thing.
Yeah. And Alabama's got 9 guys now in the portal, Shane. Former 5-star receiver Caleb Odom. He's voiced some frustration not getting the ball this year. Jaheim Otis, defensive lineman, sounds like he may be going to Ole Miss, reunite with old Pete Golding. Kobe Prentice and Kendrick Law, 2 receivers. A linebacker, Quinoa Kyote, another guy that may be headed to Ole Miss. With all these Pete Golding connections here, Shane. But I think, again, none of these are like game breakers or anything like that. But I think this is kind of guys that probably, they didn't sign up to play for old Caleb DeBoer, and maybe it's best for all parties they move on. You know what?
Yeah. No, I do. I know I keep seeing what's his name pop up. Like he's thinking about jumping into the portal. Have you seen those? I think I've been, or
Not
at
the
least
17-year-old, right?
my brother's been. I think he's got
Those are all fake accounts. Let's not.
5 retweets out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they kept waiting for it, and I love my brother to death. He said he'd be the youngest kid to ever transfer to Tennessee. You did look for a little bit of a meltdown, but honestly, I think this is a good sign. First year, because the first year coaches seem like they have the most that hit the portal after the season. And I saw more retention than I thought. So, yeah, Alabama's going to spend some money this year, brother. And you want to talk about giveth and taketh. I think old Bama's going to get out there and start taking away because they don't like being left outside the playoffs.
Right. Now, let me ask you about this one, Shane. Mizzou. Haven't officially lost anyone big. Mekhi Miller, receiver, he's in the portal. But the big bombshell today,
yeah,
and he's not in there yet, so things could change. Freshman, 5-star defensive lineman Williams Anawari. Again, not official, but expected. He picked Mizzou over Oklahoma. This is a guy literally everybody in the damn country is going to come after. I would think LSU would be top that list. Because they've got the defensive staff that he committed to at Missouri. So literally at Tennessee was heavily involved in him. Well, now that you heard that, you're probably hoping he leaves. But thoughts on Williams and Wari? Again, he didn't make much of an impact. He redshirted for Mizzou, but this was a huge win. This was their Luther Burden of defense. You know what I mean? But thoughts on that? And is it an indictment at all on Mizzou if he leaves, or is it just like
Well, I mean, obviously you look at year one, there was moments. He definitely had some big star moments this season. And I think you were obviously seeing the upside that this kid's going to bring to your university. But, I think the whole selling the state dream, that kind of sucks because like Luther was just such a special part of that. I mean, they will probably have statues outside for this kid for how much he just represented that university and that state more importantly. And like you said, you thought the keys, the reins got handed over, and this wasn't the first time. This wasn't the second time. This is a new tradition that we're going to protect these borders. So first year jumping into the portal, that's a little discouraging because there's going to come that moment when you got to say, what is it worth the money? You know, some kids are going to see it, but could he stick around and in 2 more years hit the draft, become the biggest, best thing since Luther Burden to hit? You know, I thought that opportunity was there, but you know, I don't have that talent, man. I don't know what I would do if I was a 19-year-old or whatever. I'd probably chase the damn money too, but I'd at least, you know, ask the university to match it or whatever.
Right. And Cousin Jesse's got the response we all get. And Warriors to South Carolina, best defensive line in the college football. So that's what you want. You know, you see a 5-star, get him on the team.
Yeah.
It might cost you $1 million, but it ain't my money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just had Coach on here talking about what's his name. He thought he had him at Mizzou for a little bit before he went to South Carolina. So, yeah, another stud going. That would be tough. That would be a tough loss for him for sure.
Oh, should I read that one, Shane? That DM I got.
What DM?
I sent it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see if I can find it real quick. It was pretty funny. Oh, here we go. Again, I don't know if I'm supposed to read this, but you send me a DM, I feel like I'm free to do with it what I want, right, Shane?
Yes.
And again, maybe I do not. Maybe he doesn't want this out there, so I won't even say who sent it to me. But
okay.
Eli Drinkwitz just made a joke at the Charlotte Touchdown Club after getting booed by North Carolina fans that they need to worry about getting a coach, and that he heard Belichick was trying to negotiate free tuition for his girlfriend.
Jeez.
All right, wait. And that's, okay, I know why you were saying that now, because he was trying to get Kyle Kennard, right? So
yeah, he was trying to get Kyle Kennard, and he made the comment about that, and then now you got Nawari going over there. I'm not saying that he is. I mean, he may go somewhere. Hell, they just spent a lot of money. They may not be able to afford him, you know?
Right. Well, you know, Shane, something I know you can afford if you want to treat someone good this holiday season.
What's that?
Public Rec. Come on, publicrec.com. Promo code SEC. Get you 20% off this week over at Public Rec, sponsor of the show. And I've got my Daymaker pants on right now, Shane. They're so comfy. They feel like sweatpants. They look like designer, nice pants. You know what? Another thing I like about them, Shane, I haven't even told you this. They got zippers on the side. So I go for walks all the time with my dog, right? I got my car keys. I got my phone in there. I don't know about you, but I'm always fearful that the thing's going to jump out. So I zip that bad boy up. It's good to go. They come in 10 different colors. You can get them sized exactly to your waist, your length. Check out publicrec.com. Don't forget that promo code SEC. Get you 20% off anything in the store. You'll be a very, very gracious friend if you bought someone for Christmas something over there at Public Rec. You know what?
Absolutely. I thought you were going to go Bill Belichick. Better load up on pants in case he leaves some at the sorority house over there in North Carolina. Huh? What about that? What about that? Mac going, 72-year-old Mac passing the reins to 71-year-old Bill Belichick. Ain't that something?
Not official yet, Shane.
He said he's taking it. We'll see.
Yeah. Hey, shout out cousin Brandon. He's back here.
Thanks, cuz.
Let me play a little. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, cuz.
Better wait till after the next portal window to see who have the best D-line next year / hashtag portal Pete Golding. Yeah, he's elite. So that's where it's going to have to be, Shane, because that's where Ole Miss was so dominant this year.
Yeah.
Defensive line. So bad news is you're probably going to be losing those guys to the NFL. Good news, you got budget to spend. Yeah. You know what? And again, we for those that don't know, I mean, this is all confusing. It's all changing in real time. So, you know, I wouldn't blame any of you if you didn't know. But apparently they're thinking in July, that's when this money's going to come in via the House settlement, to where they don't have the exact figures yet, but could be 15 million, could be 20 million, could be even a little bit more that they are going to have to spend on college rosters. And that's not just football. It's for all the sports. Of course, we're smart enough to know most of that's going to go to football, but how that all works out, we don't know. And that should really help teams like Kentucky and Arkansas. And maybe that's what Mark Stoops is sitting here thinking. You know, we can't compete right now, but here in 6, 7 months, we'll have $20 million to spend on a roster that'll level the playing field, which hopefully it does. But in the meantime, Shane, these guys are the portal. They ain't gonna sign up and wait 7 months to get paid. So there's gonna be someone that's got to pay now. You know what?
You think they're doing that right now? Like checking the cash, holding the title until the money comes in.
I think they're demanding to get paid up front. I really do.
I get it. I'm joking, but it is funny. It's, you saw what's his name just got 1.5 million.
Yeah, Dylan Stewart.
Yeah,
allegedly
1.517. But I just feel like those numbers are just going to rise. I don't know. I wonder how this plays out. If there's some sort of, there's got to be. They can't just say, "Hey, here, Stoops, do what you want with $20 million." I just don't see that happen. I feel like there's got to be something systematically. Yes.
Yeah, Kiffin has come out and said they've already got a plan in place.
Yeah.
To where he's not said the number, because I don't think they even know. But he said, like, yeah, we're going to give 25% to the quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give 10% to the receivers, 10% to the offensive line, and on and on. Like, so that's how they're going to do it. And I would imagine that's how a lot of people are going to have to do it. Just break it down by position and put a value on what a player is worth to Ole Miss.
Right. And
if the player asks for more, they'll say, well, there's the portal because we can't afford you. So I think that may be the smart way to do it. And it doesn't factor in that the figure, whatever it is, let's just say it's $20 million. That doesn't mean you can't spend more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really hard to ask people for money when they know you got $20 million to spend on players. You know what I mean? So will Texas and Texas A&M, maybe Tennessee, a couple others pay a little bit more? Probably will, because they probably can't help themselves.
Yes.
But most places are not going to have millions of dollars laying around just to give to players.
No, yeah, I get it. I don't know. It feels like if you give everybody $20, then you know what I'm saying? It's like we'll spend 40 then,
How about GT Killer? He just says Freeze will spend all $20 million on a kicker.
Or Vegas.
That's where I thought he was going.
Put it on black, just double that thing.
Hey,
I did that. We go to the casino, and of course I always lose. And then, whatever X amount of dollars I took, as we're walking out, I said, honey, why don't you let me go over to the ATM, get the same money out. I'll put it on black and we could double our money just like that. Of course, she has never let me do that, but we pretend. And out of the pretend times, Mike, there's been about 6 of them have hit black and 2 hit red. So I'm just saying the odds there would have been days we could have broke even.
Maybe put your lock on one or the other.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know if you saw this, Shane. I want to throw this up at you. I want you to feel free to rip this to shreds if you want here.
Absolutely.
But I graded with Steven each SEC team just on the regular season, how they did based on expectations. If you missed it from yesterday's show, let me just recap this for people that are listening back, Shane. Alabama, D. Arkansas, C. Auburn, D. Florida, B+. Georgia, A+. Kentucky, F-. LSU, C. Ole Miss, F. Mississippi State, F. Missouri, C. Oklahoma, D-. South Carolina, A. Tennessee, A. Texas, A+. Texas A&M, B-. And Vanderbilt, A. Biggest issue and maybe biggest agreement from you?
Well, I think initially Alabama. I'm just saying.
You're just like Steven.
You gave them a D.
They didn't make the playoff, did they?
Well, they were in there last week, before 3-loss Clemson won. So, yeah, I would give them like a C+ because it wasn't like we were over here saying they were going to win the national championship or anything like that. See, I could justify like the Ole Miss at F, maybe even D+ or something like that, because the expectations were a lot higher for Ole Miss to make. Yeah, to make the run. And I would even knock Georgia down a little bit. I know they won the SEC championship, but I don't think this was a convincing year that we thought it would be. So maybe bring that one down to an A. I'm trying to see any of the other ones. Everything else looks pretty good.
You like Tennessee A?
Yeah, I think Tennessee A is really good. South Carolina, maybe even an A+ for me for Carolina.
Okay.
Just because of where I thought they would end the season and then where they actually did.
Right.
So, and A&M, I'd do a slight bump to B+ because I really didn't think they would be competing for an SEC championship the final week of the year.
I think I'm too jaded by how it ended for him.
Yeah.
You know, losing
yeah.
the last three SEC games. And losing to Hugh Freeze. But shout out cousin Brandon, man. What a money bags over here. F- for Ole Miss coaching this year, according to cousin Brandon. We appreciate you, brother. But no, I just thought that was a little fun one that we did yesterday.
What I hate about that whole Ole Miss situation is how people complained. Media literally asked him about the running back. And then next week he puts him in there and he has over 100 yards. Of course, he did have that one big run, but you're thinking to yourself, well, if we had that at the Swamp, what would have happened?
Right. And that's the weirdness that we're in, Shane, because if you are contributing to Ole Miss NIL, you are essentially paying these players' salaries.
Yeah.
Don't you have a right to know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but I would kind of say, I kind of feel like you do.
Mm-hmm. You sound like every cop getting pulled over video I've ever seen on YouTube. I'm paying your salary. Yeah. Just write the ticket, damn it.
Well, hey, I also got some of these bowl game. I didn't get all the previews done, but I got most of them done.
Okay.
I'm just kind of curious, and we're moving. We could talk playoffs here at the very end, but of the SEC bowl games,
yeah,
I was just curious, which one do you think most needs a win, and which one kind of least? Maybe because they all want to win, but maybe a loss for whatever reason. Maybe a quarterback's not playing, whatever, will not be that big of a deal.
I think a big win for me would be Florida, because they've got a lot of momentum going into the offseason right here. I think we're going to see a lot more youth, kind of come up in this game. There's just a lot. I think the momentum in particular for the Florida Gators is crucial, because Tulane could be good. They've kind of fell off here the last few weeks. The coach has committed on coming back, but still they're a really good football team, and you just don't want to end the season with a loss. It just feels like you got a punch in the face on the way out.
Right, and they're Tulane. They got all the football, Shane. That was kind of blew me away. But again, they're playing different competition.
Yes,
and their quarterback has already opted out.
Mm-hmm.
So that favors Florida. Florida's a big favorite. I think it's like 13 points right now.
Yeah.
Anyone else really stand out to you?
I mean, obviously, I'm very dialed into the Citrus Bowl. I think, Shane Beamer comes out. They said, hey, they could have picked any of the SEC teams, and they picked us to represent. And, I feel like this is a stamp on this. We talk about the grenade, falling on the grenade because of the playoffs. I feel like if you could come down here and just absolutely smoke them, then you're always going to wonder for the rest of your lives, like, was that the year that South Carolina should have been in the playoffs? So, yeah, all eyes are going to be on this game. This is a big one. That's one, I think, because if you lose all that shit that we just did the last 2 weeks, begging to get into this thing, they're going to say, for that?
How about this one, Shane?
What's that?
How about Alabama, Michigan? Because they're not good at all. They got in because they upset Ohio State. Otherwise, they weren't even going to a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
Why this is Alabama's matchup? Again, I think it's hilarious. Cheese it past Alabama. But, I would have rather seen Alabama face, maybe Tulane, maybe Southern Cal. I don't know. None of these teams are that. The opponents, none of them are that great. But hell, even Georgia Tech looks better than Michigan to me. So
yeah,
Could you imagine how pissed off Tide fans are going to be if they lose to Michigan 2 years in a row?
Yeah, that's a bad look for sure. No, that's a good one. The other ones I would go is the A&M. Just begin. You're building something. Maybe we try some young kids here. USC is not a good team, but they do play tough. That one actually could be fun to watch.
The SEC can't lose to Southern Cal twice in 1 year. You know what?
No, you can't. Start the season, end the season. That'd be embarrassing. And then Vanderbilt. That's a team that we definitely didn't expect to be in this spot right now. Had some really good moments. Maybe the last time we see Pavia. I think that could be a very, very exciting football game as well.
Now, as for a playoff game, again, we know how important those are. How about this one, Shane? How about that? The footballs are split. Tennessee at Ohio State. You've had a couple days to stew on it. Think about it. Think about Tennessee marching into Columbus. You're one of your most hated rivals in the country. Thoughts on this matchup? Can Tennessee brave the cold? Have you heard this one already?
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, whatever. Yes, they can brave it. It's cold up here in the mountains, so they closed it down the other day going to Cherokee. So, yeah, Tennessee, there's going to be doubters. Everyone is going to be doubting you. And I feel like even you said this, that's a great spot for the Vols to be in. I feel like that brings a team together when you're not just coming out there as individuals trying to have a big game. You're coming in as a team to pull off an upset in one of the historic sites. Say what you want. The Shoe gets a lot of hype for being one of the toughest places to play. Well, you can simply quiet that crowd if you come out here and punch them in the mouth. It's just be physical. This is going to be such a good game. I know we got some more time to talk about it, but yeah, I feel like this one here, brother, because it's moved. I think it's 7.5 now. So it is starting to go the wrong way. If you're a Vol fan, you're looking at Vegas saying, hey, what's going on? But if you're a gambler, you may be like, listen to Shane saying, I gotta get my money in on this now. So now I'm pumped up about this one, brother.
And then we'll hit the other one just a second, Shane, but
wasn't there a year? I'm trying to think of old football. There was a Tennessee-Ohio State game. Well, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was
when Eddie George won the Heisman.
Yeah.
And they were the toast of college football.
And they beat the Vols, right?
Nope.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Yes, indeed.
Oh,
but I was going to say, Shane, if for some reason, which it's not going to happen, right? But if Tennessee was going to lose, you're going to need some help.
Oh, I'm going to need a lot of it.
Better help, Shane. Sponsor of the show. BetterHelp sponsors the show, Shane. Go on over to betterhelp.com/SEC. Get 10% off your first month. What is this BetterHelp? How can they help me? Well, it's online therapy, Shane. All you got to do, go over to betterhelp.com. Don't forget that promo code SEC, or just type in betterhelp.com/SEC. You get 10% off. You fill out a questionnaire. They get you fixed with a licensed therapist. And if you don't like the therapist, you just kick him to the curb like I did old Chad Morris a couple years ago. You know what? At no extra charge, you'll get another one over at BetterHelp.com. Don't forget that promo code SEC for 10% off your full order there. First month, 10% off at BetterHelp with promo code SEC. You're not going to need much help though, are you, Shane?
No, I'm not. But you may know somebody that does, Mike. And let's don't forget the holiday season. Sometimes you got friends and family that dealing with some stuff. So if you got a promo code and a discount, make their day and maybe help them out. So you never know. Just reach out to somebody this holiday and give them a phone call. Somebody you haven't talked to in a while. You never know. It could mean the world to them.
That's a hell of an idea, Shane. And you know who's going to need it?
Who's going to need that?
Dabo. Come on, Dabo. Snuck his ass into the playoff. Oh, buddy. Snuck his ass all in. Shout out real quick, Shane.
Yeah.
I just saw this, so I don't want to ignore. We'll make fun of Dabo in a second. Brandon gave us $50 more. What a guy.
Golly.
What a guy.
Come
Cousin
on,
Brandon.
Thanks, cuz.
I hope Florida makes the playoff next year. Maybe they will stop poaching my coach. Appreciate you, cousin Brandon, but yeah, that may stop them there. But Dabo Shades barely stuck in here. Needed a 56-yarder. Now they're going to go down to Austin and get their ass whooped. But thoughts on this game? I mean, we were watching the SMU game, and they were dominating SMU. Of course, they let them right back in and nearly force overtime over there. But I don't know. I mean, Clemson seems to me like they have a good defense, questionable offense. I like their quarterback. He's actually from Austin, which is pretty wild. But thoughts on this matchup?
Well, I mean, we got to see Clemson here at the end. Pretty good defense, and I feel like you can't overlook anybody. I mean, from this point on, you got to be completely dialed in. Even though Clemson is definitely an inferior opponent for those Longhorns, you can't get caught looking ahead. And one of the things I'm looking forward to, Mike, is kind of putting away some of these Debbie Downers, some of these Doubting Tom. You know, these I'll never forget all the comments we seen after this SEC championship game about Arch Manning. I saw more about Arch Manning than I did about any of the players that were in that SEC championship game. And I'd like to just put that to bed. You know, just go out here, do what you can be, very consistent offense, stellar defense. I would love nothing more than to see Clemson walk away with a goose egg. You know, maybe it comes down to another long field goal just to put points on the board so they have a little pride before they leave. But yeah, this should be one of those that you just kind of put on a clinic.
Yeah, Texas is favored by 11.
Yeah.
You know, the home field will be big. But, you know, we've never done this, Shane. We've never done the 12-team playoff. We've never had playoff with home games and such. This is going to be a 3 o'clock Central Time, so it's a little different. Ohio State, Tennessee, that's a night game, which really, that hurts Tennessee even more. But, I mean, it's going to be electric because it's a playoff game, and we've never had these. So I'm not saying it won't be, but I'd always rather play at night than in the middle of the day here. But I don't know. I kind of, again, I've not watched Clemson a ton. Maybe just because I watched their last two because I watched the SMU game, like I said, and then, of course, watched the South Carolina game. Quite frankly, I've been a little impressed with them. I mean, everybody knows at this point, I think they're tired of us talking up South Carolina, but red hot South Carolina, I mean, they gave them all they wanted, and it took a Herculean effort by old Heisman to get that win. I don't know. I'm not saying Clemson's going to upset Texas or anything, but I think this could be a really good battle. Good lines of scrimmage for both these teams. Yeah. This is playoff football right here.
Yeah. And if there were ever a trap playoff game, you're looking at it right here. And I hope that's not the case. I feel like Austin's going to be jumping for another shot at a national championship and first ever home playoff game. I mean, they get all the first, don't they? Geez, they come over here one year, they get the SEC, they get all the good stuff. But you know, you deserve it if you could come out here and smoke Clemson. So I think the point here for these guys is not do like they've done in some of these games they've lost, and that's that slow start, you know, that stagnant, shoot yourself in the foot thing. I think coming out here and just, even if it's 15 plays right down their throat, just plant your flag and let them know that you're the bigger, better physical team out here today.
Right. Well, Shane, don't forget, want to remind the cousins. I want to remind you, quite frankly, because I feel like you forget. I tell you something. A lot. Yeah, that's what I mean. Tomorrow, live, SEC is going to announce the schedules. So we'll be here to break it down. I think it's perfect, Shane. I think it's right when we're doing this. 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central. That's when they're going to do it. So I'll be fascinated. Anything you'll be eyeing, and for me in particular, again, we know the opponents, we just don't know the order. We don't know how the schedule is going to break down. But I want to see, Shane, if they cater to them Longhorns again. Everybody's so damn bad. That's probably why Kirby called out the commissioner to his damn face because he's upset about that and how, you know, well, so many people bitched and moaned about Texas' schedule. We'll see. We'll see how it breaks down this year, but that's kind of going to be the number one thing that I kind of have my eye on during the schedule release tomorrow.
Yeah, I think maybe just potential 3-4 game slicks, like, man, that's a tough stretch. There was a few teams this year that had to do, we're talking about the Florida Gators, which they went through a little spell where they just kept facing top 10 teams.
Right.
So I'm looking for some of that. I'm also looking for evenly spaced bye weeks. I know it sounds crazy, but it felt like some teams got screwed this year because of those bye weeks. And I'd like to see if they return the favor, like if they've returned the favor, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be pretty interesting too. And we still haven't had a coaching change, Shane.
No.
Haven't had a coach. I don't think we're going to get one. Not in the SEC.
Isn't that wild? I thought for sure we'd get one, if not two.
Unless, oh man, what a guy. What a guy, Cousin Brandon. Just 50 more bucks. Mississippi State has the hardest schedule next year. And yeah, because they're going to have, of course, let me pull up their schedule from this year. It's just so hard to look at, Shane.
We're going to have to put PTG Brandon underneath my bookie on this one.
It's going to be so hard with all these L's. But, yeah, Florida, man, they're looking better, of course. Texas, Georgia, A&M. I think A&M is going to be really good next year. Tennessee, Ole Miss, Mizzou. So we'll see how they get their buys. They're going to need all the help they can get. You know what?
But at least they got those 4 teams at home. I mean, I'd rather have cowbells with Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, and Ole Miss than not,
Right.
So, yeah, it's same thing go to Georgia real quick. Kirby bitched about all the road games he did. So won't he have more road games?
He'll have
year?
at Auburn, at Tennessee, at Mississippi State. That's it. They'll have a ton of home games. They'll get Bama at home, Texas at home, Ole Miss at home. Georgia's going to have him a hell of a slate next year.
Maybe he was right.
Yeah, so that's going to be a great deal of fun breaking that all down tomorrow. Can't wait for that. Anything else, brother, before we hop off the line?
No, it's going to be exciting. It's a little bit of a lull, but man, I tell you what, it's not if you like portals, if you like madness. It's like Jerry Springer up there. We don't know who their daddy's going to be, It's like, you don't know. But you start imagining. Every time I see a kid hit the portal, I'm like, damn, he'd look good in orange and white,
Yeah, so just a little heads up for all the cousins. So we're going to do the show tomorrow, the schedule release. Shane's off on Thursday, and I'm trying to work it out. We may have a special edition, Shane. I haven't even told you.
Oh,
because I haven't confirmed it yet. But if it goes through, it's going to be a hell of a time. You're not going to want to miss the schedule release. You're not going to want to miss this Thursday show. If I can get this lined up perfectly, should be a really, really fun time.
Hell yeah, man. Be cutting out a little bit early this week. Apologize, but I got some gambling to do, Mike. All that money I've made off my locks, brother, they're coming in.
Yep. Well, buddy, unless you got anything else, I'm ready to jump off here if you want.
Yeah, no, let's jump off here, and we'll see you tomorrow. So we'll confirm the time, but it doesn't matter. We'll be here at 7, and then we'll be sure to cover those schedules as they're being released.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you. We appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out. We'll catch you on the next one.
See you guys. Go Vols.
Hey, buddy, this beer's for you, Mike, and Cousin Shane. That SEC podcast loves the Pirate, and the Pirate loves that SEC podcast. Hail State.